Okay, good afternoon. My name is Conrad Duncan, and KSA studies simply about the challenges that exist in building relationships with reseller partners and potential impacts of privacy and security of customer data in global markets, as well as theft on these global partners. Now, today's case study is basically centered on Zones Incorporate. Now, Zones Incorporate is a reseller of IT devices and services from makers such as Cisco, Dell, Apple, etc., etc. Now, the top 3 or 4 challenges that exist in building relationship with overseas sellers and partners is the ability to provide hardware and software solutions to a growing mobile workforce, the ability to ensure that mobile devices are secure in approximately every part of the world that they are being utilized, and the value of certain private company and consumer data be preserved, the ability to leverage national relationships in global markets while recognizing governmental regulations that impede growth in the marketplace. Lastly, the ability to construct an organizational team comprising of females across in various nations and cultures where business are being conducted with US companies. One assumption made is that the globalization and international trade brings reward and increased revenue. But among the major hurdles is the issue of taxes and tariffs in certain countries across the globe, especially countries such as Brazil. Okay, in recent years, the taxes has been tough on U.S. companies. Okay, and a lot of revenue is lost because of some of these deals that are basically unaffordable. Now, giving your understanding of global competition and the economic freedom index of the world, what role should governments play as US firms extend their operations globally? Economic freedom indices have long been studied to measure the pulse of economic activity in countries and the level of entrepreneurial engagement that is present as measured by several factors. If those were to expand globally, gaining a better understanding of those countries that are most or least free, would be beneficial. Now, being free has a lot of implications. Being free simply means the ability to purchase property without being forced or coerced, into doing so. The ability to protect property without having it stolen, or the protection of property from invasion without the use of force or theft. Now, all of this somewhat is important to determine how free an economy is. The United States government and others which do business with US companies should take political and legal actions to regulate certain aspects of governments and businesses in various countries. Government size, for instance, expenditure taxes and entrepreneurship in enterprises must be regulated. Legal structure and security of property rights must be ensured. Access to sound money, freedom to trade internationally, credit, labor, and business transactions, the rule of law, efficiency, and market openness are some of the issues that must be addressed by the US government and overseas partners. Now, let's go back to the issue of women in the work setting. What strategic steps should be taken, okay, to bring legal actions against companies that discriminate against women? Right here, for instance, we see where certain global partners, okay, based on the culture of the country, a lot of countries around the world do not subscribe to women leadership or women leadership roles, especially in this decision-making jobs. And that is also very bad within itself. Now, let's talk about another issue. Strategic steps that are taken to legalize, any action in global partners. Should they farm such actions in an effort to maintain their reputation on the ground? Now, let's go back to Trinity, a corporation in Brazil that has not done so very well for a US firm over the years. Over the last 25 years, it has been found that Trinity crafted a software application that generates mirror images of customer invoices, but reflecting inconsistent amounts, okay, with differences being embezzled from Zone's customers. Now, this is a serious allegation. Somehow, I am not really certain whether or not it can be proven in a court of law. But if so, then I believe that appropriate legal actions should be taken against companies like Trinity and other companies with which we do business with overseas. Now, Zone should update their reporting system, gather testimonials from affected customers, and sue Trinity in a court of law. Money stolen over the years should be repaid as Zones, and others, search for reseller partners. All right, so, these are basically interesting issues regarding overseas partnerships and businesses across the world. Now, it's important to know that culture has a major role to play in the business environments in places outside of the United States. For instance, Saudi Arabia, certain countries in Africa, they don't employ or they don't subscribe to the role of women as leaders. But this is the 21st century, and these should change. The US itself has issues with minorities. For instance, if you check the data, there are about probably 4% of minority business leaders within corporate America. So many companies, you can count them on probably two hands the number of African American or black CEOs that control Fortune 500 corporations. And it is not because of the fact that they are not qualified. A lot of these guys have been to Ivy League institutions. But you see, America still has a long way to go in correcting some of the wrongs of the past. And I hope that one day this will be a reality. Corporate America is an ever-changing entity, and improvements are needed with regards to women and minority in leadership positions. For us to prosper, we have to reflect the actual makeup of this great country, and I hope in the next 10 years things will improve in such a way that we will begin to see more and more minority leaders emerging in the business sector. Thank you very much.